Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am VC Pramod and with me is Reshma Tiwari with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils India's first international bullion exchange at GIFT City in Gandhinagar. Also launches several other development projects. National Education Policy 2020 to be the foundation of self-reliant, empowered and secured India, says Home Minister Amit Shah. Launches education sector-related initiatives to mark 2 years of national education policy. Parliament adjourned for the day after uproar over alleged objectionable remarks by a Congress leader on President Draupadi Murmu. 584 industrial licenses issued to 358 companies for manufacturing of various defence items, informs the government. Government proposes amendments in Cantonment Act 2006 for greater democratization of cantonment boards. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh announces revision of financial assistance to orphan children of ex-servicemen from 1,000 rupees to 3,000 rupees per month. Prime Minister to inaugurate first ever All India District Legal Services Authorities meet in New Delhi tomorrow. In sports, Commonwealth Games 2022 being telecast live on DD Sports. All India Radio and Twitter handles of DD Sports and All India Radio Sports also give regular updates. At Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, Indian women's table tennis team beat South Africa 3-0. In boxing, Shiva Thapa wins men's 63.5 kg round of 32 bout against Pakistan's Suleiman Baloch. And in cricket, first T20 match between India and the West Indies underway in Taruba. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched India's first international bullion exchange IIBE at the Gujarat International Finance Tech GIFT City in Gandhinagar. He also launched NSE IFSC SGX Connect and laid the foundation stone of the headquarters of the International Financial Services Centres Authority IFSCA at the GIFT City. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister said the GIFT City has been established as an integrated finance and technology services hub for India and the world. Mr. Modi said the GIFT City will offer global opportunities to the youth not just in finance technology sector but also in aviation, space and renewable energy sector. He said with the inauguration of IIBE, India can not only influence the gold pricing but also play a role in setting the gold prices. The Prime Minister said the IFSCA will support innovation and become a catalyst for growth opportunities.
IFSCA एक एनेबलर भी बनेगा, इनोवेशन को सपोर्ट करेगा और इस सबके साथ ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज के लिए एक कैटालिस्ट का काम भी करेगा। गिफ्ट सिटी में एनएसई, आईएफएससी, एसजीएक्स कनेक्ट की लॉन्चिंग के जरिए आज ये शुरुआत हो रही है। आज इंडिया इंटरनेशनल बुलियन एक्सचेंज उसको भी लॉन्च किया गया है। न्यू डेवलपमेंट बैंक के इंडियन ओरिजिनल ऑफिस, 3 फॉरेन बैंक और 4 इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड फाइनेंसिंग सर्विस प्लेटफॉर्म, इन सब के साथ अनेक महत्वपूर्ण पड़ावों को आज हमने पार किया है।
The Prime Minister said finance and technology are now linked with each other and India has an edge and experience in technology, science and software. He added India has now joined countries like the USA, UK and Singapore from where global finance is given direction.
भविष्य में जब हमारी इकोनॉमी आज से भी कहीं ज्यादा बड़ी होगी, हमें उसके लिए अभी से तैयार होना होगा और बड़ा होना तय है। हमें इसके लिए ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूशंस चाहिए जो ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी में हमारे आज के और भविष्य के रोल को कैटर कर सके। इंडिया इंटरनेशनल बुलियन एक्सचेंज IIBX इसी दिशा में एक कदम है।
Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Ministers of State for Finance Pankaj Chauhan and Bhagwat Karad were also present on the occasion.
The Prime Minister has said that the whole world is looking at India's youth with hope. Speaking at the 42nd convocation ceremony of Anna University at Chennai in Tamil Nadu today, Mr. Modi recalled the words of Swami Vivekananda about the youth of the country.
125 years ago, Swami Vivekananda spoke to the Madras Times he was asked about his plan for the future of India. He said, and I quote, "My faith is in the younger generation, the modern generation. Out of them will come my workers. They will work out the whole problem like lions," unquote. Those words are still relevant. But this time, it is not only India that is looking towards its youth. The whole world is looking at India's youth with hope.
Mr. Modi also recalled former President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's association with Anna University. The Prime Minister noted that the COVID-19 pandemic was an unprecedented event. He said adversities reveal what we are made of. He emphasized that during the pandemic, India faced the unknown confidently, thanks to its scientists, healthcare professionals and common people. As a result, he said, every sector in India is bustling with a new life. Mr. Modi said India received a record FDI of over $83 billion last year. He said in the era of tech-led disruptions, there are three important factors in India's favor. These are taste for technology, trust in risk-takers and temperament for reform. The Prime Minister also congratulated the students on getting their degrees. He said today is not only a day of achievements but also a day of aspirations for them. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the National Education Policy NEP 2020 lays the foundation of a self-reliant, empowered and secured India. He said the new education policy, which was brought after 34 years, will bring transformational changes in the education system of the country. Mr. Shah was addressing a function organized to mark the completion of the launch of 2 years of National Education Policy 2020. The Union Home Minister said the centre and states should work as a team for its effective and successful implementation. He also urged the states to chalk out a strategy for its effective implementation. On the occasion, Mr. Shah launched several initiatives under NEP 2020 which cover the entire spectrum of education and skill development verticals, including areas like digital education, innovation, synergizing education and skill development, teacher training and assessment.
Both houses of parliament have been adjourned for the day following uproar on the issue of alleged objectionable remarks by Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary on President Draupadi Murmu. In Rajya Sabha, when the House met after the first adjournment at 12 noon, the Treasury bench members started sloganeering, demanding an apology from Congress President Sonia Gandhi over Mr. Chaudhary's remarks. The Congress members trooped into the well, raising counter-slogans. The presiding officer repeatedly urged order in the House, but in vain. He later adjourned the House for the day. Similar scenes were witnessed in the Lok Sabha. When the lower house met after the first adjournment at 12 noon, the Treasury bench members again started sloganeering, demanding an apology from the Congress president. Opposition members Congress, Left and others trooped into the well, raising counter-slogans against the government. The presiding officer tried to run the zero hour while repeatedly urging the agitating members to allow the House to function. But they did not pay heed, leading to adjournment of the House for the day. A total of 584 industrial licenses have been issued to 358 companies for manufacturing of various defence items. The defence industry sector was opened up to 100% for Indian private sector participation in May 2001. Minister of State for Defence Ajay Bhatt said this in a written reply to a question in Lok Sabha today. He said the initial validity of the industrial license granted under the Industries Development and Regulation Act has also been increased from 3 to 15 years.
The government has proposed amendments in the Cantonments Act 2006 by incorporating provisions for imparting inter alia greater democratization to cantonment boards, including direct election of vice president. This information was given by Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh in a written reply in Lok Sabha today. He said the draft bill is under finalization. The elections to cantonment boards are proposed to be held thereafter. The government today said over 4,16,000 Indian workers have migrated till last month to 18 immigration check required ECR countries for overseas employment since 2020. In a written reply in Lok Sabha, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said, whenever an Indian migrant worker dies abroad, concerned Indian mission or post provides immediate necessary assistance.
Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh today announced the revision of financial assistance to the orphan children of ex-servicemen from 1,000 rupees to 3,000 rupees per month. In a tweet, Raksha Mantri said the financial assistance is given under Orphan Grant Scheme of the Raksha Mantri Ex-Servicemen Welfare Fund. He said many ex-servicemen families will be benefited from this decision. In Jammu and Kashmir, the Saubhagya scheme has successfully provided last-mile electricity connections to all unelectrified households in rural areas, besides providing solar photovoltaic SPV-based standalone system for unelectrified households located in remote and inaccessible villages and habitations across the Union Territory. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that till date almost 3,57,405 households have been electrified in the Union Territory. News just in. Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary has apologized to President Draupadi Murmu over his alleged objectionable remarks about her. In a letter to the President today, the leader of the Congress party in Lok Sabha expressed regret for mistakenly using an incorrect word to describe President Murmu's position. He assured that it was a slip of tongue.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha said today the government is building a world-class infrastructure and the Union Territory is emerging as a performer in every sector on national canvas. Addressing the 8th convocation of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University at Katra, the LG said knowledge system of our economy is being strengthened to provide opportunities to talented young professionals.
बर्फ से ढके पहाड़,
हवा के साथ झूमते चीड़ चिनार,
झीलों पर तैरते शिकारे,
हरी भरी घाटियों के दिलकश नजारे।
आकाशवाणी समाचार आपके लिए लेकर आया है जम्मू कश्मीर विशेष श्रृंखला एक नई सुबह।
हम बात करते हैं विकास की, निवेश की,
पर्यटन की, संस्कृति की
और रोज हो रहे बदलावों की। FM गोल्ड पर सुनिए हर शुक्रवार रात 9:15 पर आकाशवाणी समाचार की विशेष प्रस्तुति
जम्मू कश्मीर एक नई सुबह।
In Meghalaya, a festival was held at Polo Ground in Shillong today to highlight some of the success stories and educate street vendors about the PM Swanidhi scheme. Meghalaya is among 33 states in the country that are organizing a function to commemorate and honor the street vendors who have shown good creditworthiness and discipline and shifted to digital transactions. The event also aims to celebrate 75 years of India's independence.
Over 203 crore 60 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Over 20,000 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate is currently at 98.48%. In our bilingual live phone-in program on health and wellness, Dr. N.K. Arora, chairperson of the COVID Working Group, the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization (NTTI), will be with us tonight to answer queries related to monkeypox and COVID precautionary dose. Listeners can ask questions to the expert from 9:30 p.m. on telephone number 011-2342-1230 and 011-2342-1764. You can also post your queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This live program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils India's first international bullion exchange at Gift City in Gandhinagar. Also launches several other development projects. National Education Policy 2020 to be the foundation of self-reliant, empowered and secured India, says Home Minister Amit Shah. Launches education sector-related initiatives to mark 2 years of national education policy. Parliament adjourned for the day after uproar over alleged objectionable remarks by a Congress leader on President Draupadi Murmu. 584 industrial licenses issued to 358 companies for manufacturing of various defence items, informs government. Government proposes amendments in Cantonments Act 2006 for greater democratization of cantonment boards. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh announces revision of financial assistance to orphan children of ex-servicemen from 1,000 rupees to 3,000 rupees per month. Prime Minister to inaugurate first ever All India District Legal Services Authorities meet in New Delhi tomorrow. In sports, Commonwealth Games 2022 being telecast live on DD Sports, All India Radio and Twitter handles of DD Sports and All India Radio Sports also giving regular updates. At Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, Indian women's table tennis team beat South Africa 3-0. In boxing, Shiva Thapa wins men's 63.5 kg round of 32 bout against Pakistan's Suleiman Baloch. And in cricket, first T20 match between India and West Indies underway in Taruba. For quick news updates down the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का सुलभ और सस्ता माध्यम है आकाशवाणी।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न केंद्रों से कीजिए अपने उत्पादों और सेवाओं का प्रचार विज्ञापनों के माध्यम से।
लोकल और राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कीजिए अपने बिजनेस का विस्तार, क्योंकि आकाशवाणी में विज्ञापन बुकिंग हुई बहुत ही आसान।
अब घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे आप कर सकते हैं विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
डायल कीजिए 870-001-4242।
नंबर एक बार फिर नोट करें, 870-001-4242।
Welcome back to the evening news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the inaugural session of the first All India District Legal Services Authorities meet in New Delhi tomorrow. The first ever national level meet of District Legal Services Authorities, DLSAs, is being organized by National Legal Services Authority. The meet will deliberate on creation of an integrated procedure in order to bring homogeneity and synchronization across DLSAs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the grand finale marking the culmination of Ujjwal Bharat, Ujjwal Bhavishya Power at the Rate 2047 through video conferencing tomorrow. The program is taking place from the 25th to 30th of July as part of the ongoing Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to showcase the transformation in the power sector achieved in the last 8 years. It aims to empower citizens by improving their awareness and participation in various power-related initiatives, schemes and programs of the government. During the program, Mr. Modi will launch the revamped distribution sector scheme. The Prime Minister will also dedicate and lay the foundation stone of various green energy projects of NTPC worth over 5,200 crore rupees. He will dedicate the 100 megawatt floating solar PV project of NTPC at Ramagundam in Telangana to the nation through virtual mode. This will be the country's biggest floating solar PV project, which was declared commercially operational from midnight of the 1st of July. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember educationist and social reformer Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who died on the 29th of July, 1891. Considered as the father of Bengali prose, he was the most prominent campaigner for Hindu widow remarriage, leading to passing of the Hindu Widows Remarriage Act, 1856.
Ishwar Chandra taught at Fort William College and Sanskrit College, becoming its principal in 1950. As principal, he brought about a range of significant changes in affairs of the Sanskrit College by removing the caste barriers and opening its doors to all Hindus. Apart from modernizing and reforming Sanskrit College and establishing vernacular and girls' schools, his most important contribution to education was the textbooks he wrote and published.
Until he published his pioneering work, Varna Parichay, An Introduction to the Alphabet, 1851, there was no such model reader for the beginners. Like Varna Parichay, there was no Sanskrit grammar written in Bangla until he published his Samskrita Vyakraner Upakramanika, An Introduction to Sanskrit Grammar, in 1851. His Vyakran Kaumudi was another monumental work on grammar.
Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar continues to be the ocean of knowledge and an inspiration in modern India too. AIR News salutes the great educationist and social reformer.
We also remember freedom fighter Aruna Asaf Ali, who died on the 29th of July, 1996.
Born as Aruna Ganguly on the 16th of July 1909 in Kalka, Haryana, Aruna faced opposition from family and society when she married freedom fighter Asaf Ali in 1928. She actively participated in Congress programs and the Salt Satyagraha.
On the 8th of August 1942, the All India Congress Committee passed the Quit India resolution at the Bombay session. The government responded by arresting the major leaders. Young Aruna Asaf Ali presided over the remainder of the session on the 9th of August and hoisted the flag at the Gowalia Tank Maidan.
The police fired upon the assembly at the session. Aruna was dubbed the heroine of the 1942 movement for her bravery.
Aruna was appointed as the first Delhi mayor in 1958. She received India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna, posthumously in 1997. AIR News salutes the great daughter of India.
We also remember freedom fighter Satyendra Kumar Mishra, who was born on the 29th of July 1912. He was imprisoned on multiple occasions for his anti-British activities.
Satyendra Prasad joined the freedom struggle in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. He took part in anti-alcoholism drives, forest satyagrahas and salt satyagraha and was imprisoned in Jabalpur jail.
In the jail, he took part in the flag satyagraha and used his blood to color the flag red. During the Quit India movement in 1942, he led the youth in Jabalpur against British imperialism.
He was arrested and imprisoned for 18 months in Jabalpur, Nagpur, Siuni and Mandla jails.
Satyendra Prasad continued to serve people till his death on the 4th of April 1999. AIR News salutes the great nationalist.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
अब हर घर की छत पर शान से फहरेगा तिरंगा, गुनगुनाए जाएंगे नव विकास के गीत, आन बान शान का प्रतीक राष्ट्रध्वज तिरंगा। आइए आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर इस स्वाधीनता दिवस हर घर फहराते हैं तिरंगा और लेते हैं भव्य और सशक्त भारत के निर्माण का संकल्प।
आइए हर घर फहराएं तिरंगा।
Commonwealth Games 2022 is being telecast live on DD Sports. Doordarshan Sports is bringing all the action live from the ground, starting from the opening ceremony till the end of the Commonwealth Games on the 8th of August. DD Sports began its broadcast from yesterday with the grand opening ceremony at the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham, England. The sporting events spanning across 20 sports categories are being telecast live by DD Sports only on DD Free Dish starting from today. Apart from the live broadcast on DD Sports channel, All India Radio and the Twitter handles of DD Sports and All India Radio Sports are giving regular updates about the developments on the ground.
Listen to Commonwealth Games quiz with AIR News Sportscan at 7:20 p.m. every day. All you have to do is reply to a question on the Commonwealth Games. Email your answers at airsportscan@gmail.com. The first correct answer will be selected as the winner and rewarded with a jersey of the Indian Commonwealth Games team. So keep cheering to India, listening to Sportscan at 7:20 p.m. on FM Gold 100.1 MHz and on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.
In Birmingham, Commonwealth Games 2022, the Indian women's table tennis team made a winning start to its event, beating South Africa 3-0 in a straightforward game. In boxing, Shiva Thapa won his men's 63.5 kg round of 32 bout against Pakistan's Suleiman Baloch. In hockey, Indian women's team thrashed Ghana 5-0 in Pool A game. In badminton, PV Sindhu defeated Pakistan's Shehzad in women's single match, while in the single men's event, Kidambi Shrikant defeated Pakistan's Murad Ali.
In cricket, India were 84 for 2 in 9.4 overs against West Indies in the first T20 match at Taruba when reports last came in. Earlier, the hosts won the toss and elected to field. The Sensex and the Nifty today climbed more than 1%. A report from the business desk.
Sensex rose by 712 points, or 1.25%, to finish at 57,570. Nifty also surged by 229 points, or 1.35%, to end at 17,158. In the foreign exchange market, the rupee appreciated by 49 paise against the US dollar. The rupee closed at 79 rupees and 26 paise against American currency. Gold was trading at 51,300 rupees per 10 grams at the multi-commodity exchange for August contracts. Silver was trading at 57,575 rupees per kilogram for September contracts when reports last came in. Arjun Chaudhary for AIR News.
Now let's have a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature will be around 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 33 degrees. Mumbai is likely to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 31 degrees. Kolkata is expected to have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature will be around 28 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 34 degrees. Chennai will witness a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The minimum temperature will be 27 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 33 degrees.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils India's first international bullion exchange at GIFT City in Gandhinagar. Also launches several other development projects. National Education Policy 2020 to be the foundation of self-reliant, empowered and secured India, says Home Minister Amit Shah. Launches education sector-related initiatives to mark 2 years of national education policy. Parliament adjourned for the day after uproar over alleged objectionable remarks by a Congress leader on President Draupadi Murmu. 584 industrial licenses issued to 358 companies for manufacturing of various defence items, informs government. Government proposes amendments in Cantonments Act 2006 for greater democratization of cantonment boards. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh announces revision of financial assistance to orphan children of ex-servicemen from 1,000 rupees to 3,000 rupees per month. Prime Minister to inaugurate first ever All India District Legal Services Authorities meet in New Delhi tomorrow. In sports, Commonwealth Games 2022 being telecast live on DD Sports, All India Radio and Twitter handles of DD Sports and All India Radio Sports also giving regular updates. At Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, Indian women's table tennis team beat South Africa 3-0. In boxing, Shiva Thapa wins men's 63.5 kilogram round of 32 bout against Pakistan's Suleiman Baloch. And in cricket, first T20 match between India and the West Indies underway in Tarouba. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.